It's a beautiful fall day on the Sealark channel. Welcome! Today I'm going to be doing a very simplified acrylic painting of sunflowers. My mom gets these really cute shares from a farm and they just delivered these. Let's paint them. It's October, the air is getting crisp. It's beautiful outside. I hope you'll grab your paints and join along with me and enjoy this process. If you'd like to support this channel, you can like this video, subscribe, and check out my social media accounts at Sealark across the internet. I also have an oil painting book available for pre-order, so check that out in the description. Welcome to the voiceover. We're going to work in this acrylic pad. It is 246 pound paper, 400 grams, and I'm going to cut it down to a 8x10 rectangle. I'm using all acrylics. These are the colors: brick red, phthalo green, permanent rose, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, and white. You'll notice there's no black on this. I decided to go for colors I could mix yellows, greens, and dark brown with, but I didn't worry about having black for the middle. I thought we'd go for something just dark. This is the exterior of my sunflowers. I am blocking in the yellow to kind of map out the image. And I'll be honest, I did this painting twice because the first one got muddy and overcomplicated. So I was making sure that I situated my flowers in the appropriate spot on my paper, that they were a good size, and that they would take up the amount of space that I wanted. The yellow is just to get down the basic color for our first block in, as we're about to do with this green. So really it's about establishing composition, where things are going to go, and laying out some visual history upon which we will finesse and detail. I'm using this first green to block in the leaves surrounding our petals as well as the stems. I did have a slightly different view because I painted these live, whereas you're looking at a photograph of them. But with blocking in, I'm able to establish the major elements of the picture and then worry about finessing and moving things around later. Okay, I blocked in 2 of the sunflower heads first. You'll see me do the third one later, but I wanted to just use some of our phthalo green and that brick red to make a dark color. I'm going to go back to our green and actually establish the composition of the leaves now. I do get things a little bit different from the photograph, but later on I fix them up. So I'm just trying to carve out some of the negative space around my petals and figure out where my main leaves are going to be on the page so that I have everything after this point basically where it needs to go, and I can work on all of the color finessing. I used a mixture of brick red and cadmium yellow to get a burnt orange color that was going to go over some of our yellow petals to create shadows, because the shadows on the petals come in looking like this deep rusty orange. So that's going to go in areas around the center of the flower or places where the petals are bending over. And as promised, here's where I make a dark mixture of all my colors to create that center. It's sort of a brown, it's sort of a purple, it sort of doesn't even know what color it is, but I'm going to use it to do a little bit of detailing on these other 2 flower heads. You want to keep things pretty clean even as I make this background. I'm going to work with a neutral color, something made out of my phthalo green and brick red, something a bit lilac-y or gray looking to go behind the flowers, and with that I'm going to cut around the outsides of them to create the shapes of some of our petals and some of the green leaves that are coming up from behind those petals. I like working with a negative space to form out some of my shapes. I thought that by doing it this way and having this be such a simplified version of the sunflowers, it gave me some Hungry Caterpillar vibes because there's the visual history of different brush strokes. I'm going to create a little bit of definition in the shapes of my petals now. I don't get really defined in any part of this because I do want it to be fast and loose and fun and simple, but I also don't want it to just blend together, look like nothing. So I wanted to get some really clean, yellow colors to layer over the top of some of what we have established now to give a little suggestive detail, to show that there are these individual petals that are cutting across that background green. I'm layering on fairly opaque paint so that they can really pop out, and there'll be one last time where we go into those petals and make sure that they have just as bright a yellow hue as what I'm really looking for. But now I'm going to fill in some of the leaves so it's not accidentally sketchy, and use a little bit of that light green color for a little bit of detailing on the head of the sunflower to show suggestive detail for the seeds, and also to start putting in some of the detailing of our leaves. Now that I have the composition more fully blocked in, I can go into places that I need to with that background color and create more negative space to shape out the full shape of the flowers, their stems and leaves. And then I can develop those leaves using some more opaque coloring. I wanted to have a little bit more interesting colors, some highlights, some veins, a few details to go into making those pop and look like they were taken care of. They weren't just an afterthought. I have this thin dagger brush with an angle head that makes it easy for me to pull long marks or to create the shapes of my petals. And for smaller details, I just used a smaller angle-headed brush. In this part, I'm going to be deepening the shadows to create a little bit of contrast. We're going to go into the actual flower heads to darken those, as well as into some of the leaves behind the flower heads so that we can create a shadow on them, detail some of the little leaves coming out from behind the petals, and overall just make this feel more dimensional. Going in and creating details and contrast in the end is something that always brings a painting to the next level. But going off of mistakes I made in my previous attempt at this simple sunflower, I did want to make sure that I was being careful and clean with my color choices and not overworking any part of this image. The goal is a simplified sunflower, so if you were trying this at home, please learn from me, take the pressure off, and just allow yourself to sink into some of those bold color choices and bold brush mark placements. Nothing in the shape of these petals has to be tremendously detailed, but I do want it to have opacity in the paint, some bold colors, and I want it to not look muddy. I want it to carry that sunny, bright, warm feeling of sunflowers. I'm going to clean up the edges on this because I didn't tape off my edge, and I realized that cleaning up the background and giving myself a little bit of a white edge just with white paint would make it look a lot more professional in the end. The last thing that I wanted to do was just really pop the bright pieces of yellow where sun is hitting the petals, where you have no shadow, so that we have really vibrant hues. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed painting. If you did paint along, you can tag me at Sealark on Instagram or check me out across the internet. I hope you have a fantastic fall. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.